Hello. It's been a while. It's been a good while. We haven't done one of these since New Year's Day.
Wow, has it been that long? 7 whole months?
It has.
Which year?
Of this year.
Of this year. Was I part of this? Or?
You were.
No.
Okay, fair.
But
Rightfully so.
rightfully so. But hello and welcome back to season 2 of the Nethergreen podcast.
Oh, yes.
I am the one, the only, not the best, but not the worst host.
But you are Bradley.
But I am.
You are
Indeed, Bradley. We can hear that, by the way.
As you should.
As you should.
As you should.
We are here with, as always, the spectacular.
Me.
Him. You. It's him. It's Hector. He is back.
Water.
He's got a lovely glass of water.
And,
I'm going to open... We will introduce you when we're good and fucking ready, alright?
That's
going to open
play.
a quick... Oh, beautiful. Look how that peaked. Mm.
The lovely taste of new Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Yeah. We're sponsored.
By Coca-Cola.
We're going to have to bleep that too.
No. I keep it in.
Of course not, as you should.
But we are joined today with a new addition to the team. He has been here before in episode 4. But we love him so much, we want him as a permanent fixture on this, the Nethergreen podcast. Please give a big, warm, fat, juicy, cum-stained welcome.
My name is Quentin. Don't research that. And yeah, it's really good to be back.
It is.
Things have been pretty good since the last time we talked.
It has.
There's been ups and downs, lefts, rights, centers, but we're here today, and that is honestly all that matters.
It's a miracle.
It is a miracle. Yeah, it is.
It's a God-given
We tried
miracle.
last week, but it didn't work out because
bus times.
Well, yeah, because Bradley tried to get the bus, and the bus just didn't show up, but my bus showed up, and I managed to get all the way over there with the...
So, please tune into the Nether Grey podcast on the opposite channel.
Oh, yeah, we made a second competing podcast.
I can't believe you do this.
Yeah, the
but
Nether Grey.
last time Quentin was here, he went by the name Daniel, I believe. And you were here with Moose.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
That was a fun episode.
Rest his soul.
Rest his soul.
Yeah.
He caught the coronavirus.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
This late in the game too.
we don't know what happened after that, but
Yeah, we cut off contact with him completely.
immediately after. In
We
fact.
don't. We're not friends with the coronavirus.
After only hearing that he had only been vaccinated twice instead of your, seven or 8 times.
Oh, sorry, that made me feel sick.
Yeah,
hearing
exactly.
That. Oh.
It's like he didn't
Sick
get
to
all
my
5
stomach.
boosters like he was supposed to. He didn't wear 2 masks. He shook hands.
He didn't inject bleach into his veins.
Inject
No.
bleach. There was
Oh,
no
man.
bleach injecting. There was
Dirty bastard.
That's a
Yeah.
cool part of being
It
protected
is.
from coronavirus.
It's the cure. Our president, Donald J. Trump.
So
told
speaking
us
of
that.
like outdated memes and stuff like that, did you guys happen to catch the latest South Park episode?
That was a good segue. Not only did we catch it, but we caught it with you. So I don't know why you're asking us that.
We actually watched it together.
We just watched it a few hours ago, Daniel.
Unfortunately, we
What'd you
watched
call
it.
me?
Quentin.
Look, I identify.
Oh
as,
no, is your
yeah,
personal pronoun Daniel?
You should see
Is it Quentin even?
the bosoms I'm heaving.
Oh,
but they would.
my God.
They would compete with Cartman's.
They would.
Which
Cartman has been.
I would like to ask.
Trey.
What the fuck was that, Trey?
Trey.
Come on,
Trey,
we expected better.
You've done over 300 of these now, and I've got to be honest, these last 2 have possibly been the weakest.
And I've watched a lot of South Park. I've
He
watched a
does.
lot of South
Multiple
Park.
times.
Multiple times. I've
Some
watched
might
it
say
many,
he
many
watches too
times.
much South Park.
No one would dare say that.
I would.
Oh my God.
I don't think there's such a thing as too much South Park.
But yeah,
or I
the
didn't.
most recent
You
2,
didn't
I
until
wasn't very, very impressed. Especially the last one, that was really bad. It just felt like, gag after gag after gag. Like I said before. After that, they just did the same joke over and over again. It just got so stale and boring by the end of it. It was very disappointing.
It was.
Well, see, that was the thing as well. So after that first, what was it? I guess it's a special.
Yeah, so these are, well, technically they're movies, but they're only like 50 minutes. So, no, it's a special.
And that's why it dragged. Because
Wait, was it 50 minutes long?
it was,
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And it's like they do drag as well. They feel like 50 minutes of just sort of like
Shit.
aptly named, you know? So
So what was the whole plot of that episode. It
Well,
was
it was a two-parter called The Streaming Wars.
yeah.
It had a lot of mixed metaphors that we'll get into. But the first thing I want to talk about here, about that even, is the fact that we got a 6-episode series with Series 25. It was 6 episodes, and then we get 2 specials that are the length of 2 episodes. In other words, it's a 10-episode series.
Yeah.
This isn't additional content. This is just a replacement for the last 4 episodes of the series that they didn't make.
Yeah.
This isn't anything anyone should be happy about. We're missing 4 great episodes, possibly great episodes.
Yeah.
Instead, we've got 2 really shitty movies.
Really shit, yeah. Really bad. But even the first set of new content that they did, where it was, you know, the whole COVID oriented storylines.
Post-COVID,
I thought it was better than this. It was interesting and fresh. Whereas this is just like, it's like South Park gone Family Guy.
It really was. And yeah, I will say the first part, which was released last month, was worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, the first part I would have given a 1. And I don't give out 1s willy-nilly. I don't just go out there spitting out 1s, you know. I'm careful with my 1s, but I really found that much... That just there was no value. There was no value to the first part.
I mean, so to put this into context, beforehand we'd actually watched the wonderful...
The best movie of the year.
Best movie of the year, Morbius.
Yeah.
And
we morbed.
Yeah, hardcore, and got more enjoyment and actual genuine chuckles out of watching Morbius than we did a whole 50-minute special of South Park.
It's true. Like, even we don't get me wrong, we enjoyed Morbius ironically. We couldn't even enjoy the Streaming Wars Part 1 ironically.
Because it was so fucking bad.
It's just messy. It was like a whole... It didn't know what it was trying to go for. It was trying to either be like... You're either going for global warming, you're going for Karens, you're going for weed, you're going for rich white people, destroying local communities, etc.
Man by pigs, climate change suddenly, you know.
Well, we all knew that, but
they actually
had to. If you have to explain the joke to your audience, then it's not really a joke anymore, is it? And it's like every single gag and or joke that they did in these last 2 segments was already they'd done it years ago in a much better way.
Yeah.
So the question still stands: what the fuck happened, Trey?
Really?
Like, come
what
on,
did happen? And it's almost hypocritical of them too, because they're going on about our exclusive deals with streaming services. Streaming services are churning out piss. Is the main joke of the episode. It's all piss. But that's exactly what you've done, Trey.
Yeah.
The series South Park is now exclusive to HBO, and these movies are exclusive to Paramount Plus.
And they're all piss.
They're all piss. So, like, you it's one thing to be, you know, self-reflective and, you know, self-aware.
Yeah.
But you're still doing it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a part in the second part, where, you know, in the courtroom scene, where he was like, why don't you give the money back? Why don't you give the money back, Trey?
Yeah.
What's stopping? Have you spent it already? Have you spent $1 billion? Like, it's a shame, because we're still getting 8 more of these. That's a fact.
8 more of these long 50-minute...
Yeah. They announced 14, they've already done... 10. Oh, God, we're still getting 10 of them. Oh, man. They've clearly already run out of ideas for these movies.
Yeah.
If they're already poking fun at the fact that they exist.
And they've brought up, like, majority of the gags that they've done in this aren't fresh or new.
Yeah.
All of them are, like, in the sense that they've used them before. Like, the whole, like, majority of the plotline, the characters, the theme was already done before in an episode ages ago in, like, season 13 with fucking the piss part.
Yeah. So you had Man Bear Pig, which has been around since whenever Al Gore did his shit back in the early 2000s. So you had Man Bear Pig is global warming. Yeah, we got it. It was pretty funny the first few times. You had, like, the whole commentary on, like, transgender issues, where I'm not even too sure where they stood with that anymore.
They dropped that in the second part completely.
Completely dropped it,
where I don't even... Yeah, and it completely... All of the gags that were... the main characters were the focus of completely goes against who they are as the main characters. So it's like, for instance, Cartman, you know, the old Cartman would have never given himself fake tits because He's Cartman.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the guy who made someone eat his parents. You think he's going to get an argument with his mum and actually get fake tits?
I'm going to go get fake tits.
Didn't he actually, in an episode, he made fun of Wendy for getting fake tits?
He did.
Yeah.
He probably did,
So, you have that, and you have Randy as the Karen, which from the first episode, man, from the first segment, we were just, what is this? Because if anybody who's anybody knows what a Karen is, we know it's all a joke, right? Ha ha ha. I mean, my dad's 60, and he knows what a Karen is, man. Yeah. So it's like,
who's this for?
Get with the time. Yeah,
it almost felt like it was for the Karens.
And then you had, again, some mixed metaphors and the mixed messages of where do you actually stand on this stuff, whereas before, it was just kind of like, well, we're just making fun of everybody. Well, yeah, because it was like, the streaming services are causing global warming or something. Or made no streaming wars are caused by global warming or rich white people.
How does this all mix in together? It's just stupid.
Yeah. My problem with the Man-Bear-Pig thing is, outside of the idea that they've already said in universe that he's, imaginary and all that shit. In the first Man-Bear-Pig episode, they didn't mention global warming. The whole joke was Al Gore is pushing Man-Bear-Pig, and you get the idea of, Al Gore's, he's full of shit about Man-Bear-Pig. He's probably full of shit about
global warming.
But if you actually go outright and say, no, not only are they both real, but Man-Bear-Pig is physically climate change, is global warming. How? Yeah. What is he doing?
I know, obviously the effects of climate change have been, major on the planet.
Yeah.
I don't rightfully recall the last time I saw somebody get torn apart limb from limb by rising
and then
seawater.
Yeah, and in the second part, what does it mean? What do you mean when you say climate change has a wife and child? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to say about climate change? Well, it sounds like you're saying more about Man-Bear-Pig, but apparently it's the same thing.
This is the thing about it, is like, the fact that we're even asking, what do you mean by this? Is testimony to where South Park has gone. Because beforehand, I didn't need to ask.
Never.
It was just like a fun thing.
Because it's
like
funny.
Awesome storylines and epic.
You're making jokes about all different types of people. You're not actually specifically trying to send any other message other than you guys take yourselves way too fucking seriously. Yeah. You're all a joke. Calm down.
It's become preachy, but we don't know what they're preaching.
What are you preaching? Yeah, exactly. It's like, if I look at something, I should at least know what it's preaching, other than...
Climate change is bad, and so is Man-Bear-Pig.
Literally the same gag repeated over and over again. The Karen joke repeated over and over again. The joke about people promoting cryptocurrency and piss repeated over and over again.
What is the relevance? We know, cryptocurrency is a big thing right now. It causes a lot of uneducated investors to lose a lot of money. Sure.
What's causing global warming? Is it streaming services?
Streaming services, streaming services, cryptocurrency, old white people. Transgender issues?
Carmen's tits? What is causing it?
It's just, it is mind-boggling,
Randy going back and forth from being a Karen and not being a weed guy anymore, back to normal Randy, and then back to...
And they got your hopes up for a minute, didn't they? We're being like,
yeah, man, that was
old
tragic.
Randy's back, we're going back to the roots, we might, the first... Because it appeared for a moment like the first segment had been... kind of like this really meta self-aware thing where they intentionally made it shit so that the second part could be like, haha, see what we did there? Yeah, we're going back to the old ways because we're done with doing this.
In a way, we should have seen it coming when he was like to Sharon and to his boss, he was like, hey, sorry about the weed thing. Because South Park doesn't apologise.
No.
We should have seen it coming when he said that, because even if it was bad and they knew it was bad, they wouldn't apologise for it. They never would.
That was the thing though, is that it wasn't bad at first.
Yeah, it actually wasn't.
The weed thing was pretty funny because it was like a current topic back, 2 or 3 years ago whenever they started it.
So long.
And
it's been like 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we get it, man. And most of America right now, weed has been legalized, man. So
you have nothing new to say.
Over in in Europe, most places it's decriminalized. In England, you get caught with it, nothing really happens to you. So where is the stigma behind? There's not really any stigma behind it anymore. So why are you still pushing it?
If you have nothing new to say, why do you keep repeating yourself? Essentially,
I might know why. Probably because it got shit tons of viewers. I guarantee you they did it for money, because I guarantee you there's a huge audience of people that are like, oh shit, South Park's got weed in it, let's all watch South Park now.
Plus, didn't they actually make Integrity weed too?
Yeah, they did actually, in Colorado. Yeah.
Man, I mean...
Sellouts.
Yeah, that's...
And they're making fun of those celebrities for being sellouts.
They are.
And
fucking... So after that, because they ripped on my man Larry David, alright? I love Larry David. I love him. You can't compare his commercial to that of Matt Damon's.
No.
And really be like, yeah, they both sold out equally. Larry was just having fun. He was just doing a giggle. He got to wear silly outfits. He got to just do his thing where he was like, nah.
As far as commercials go, that was like pretty artistic in the way that it was done.
Yeah, it could have been his own little short film of a commercial.
Because it wasn't, from the beginning so obviously about, cryptocurrency.
Could have been about anything.
Hell, you could literally cut out the last cryptocurrency bit and it would just be a funny skit.
Yeah. So, and then obviously with the Matt Damon one, you look at it and you're just kind of like, what?
Oh, he's doing a monologue to us about fucking bravery and favours the bold.
Well, that was it as well, man. It's like when that episode did get a genuine chuckle out of us, right? It's like that one friend at the party who hears somebody tell a joke and they keep repeating it for the rest of the party, and you're like, yeah, we heard you the first 3 times. It was funny the first 2. Please stop.
They did, I think, 5 of those fake commercials.
Yeah, 5 fake commercials.
And they all have the same punchline. Celebrity doesn't like piss, but he's pretending to like piss.
5 times or more where somebody looked at Cartman's tits and went, and Cartman was, my eyes are up here.
Yeah.
The Karen bit was dragged out from the previous episode as well, because it was overdone in the previous episode too.
And again, the Karens haven't been relevant for years.
Yeah, that's such an old meme.
It's like you'll see.
It's like the sort of thing your 42-year-old mum would make a joke about and you'd cringe.
Again, my dad makes Karen jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get it.
It makes me wonder, how old are they now?
What, Trey Parkin?
Yeah, I
Probably
feel
in
like
their
they...
40s,
No, I think they're in their 50s.
Really?
It's been on for like 25 years, remember?
So, Trey Park... Is Trey Parker? Oh,
Parker,
Trey Parker. Yeah, sorry.
Are they in their 50s?
Yeah, dude, 1969, he's 52. So he's, 8 years younger than my dad.
Maybe he doesn't realise it, but he's now making comedy for 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Because, man...
They must be out of touch.
Because, man, we barely laughed at this. In the first part, there's only one part that got me, is when that dying guy, while he was dying, was like, it was such a great deal, such great real estate,
It's consumer's market.
Consumer's market, yeah.
He passes away.
That was the only part in part 1 that got me.
And it's like in that second one, it was like the first few times that we did get a gag where we were like, then they just did it over and over again, we're like, okay, never mind. It's
no more.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you go back to South Park a few years ago when Ike was making fun of Kyle for being a boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you now?
And fucking...
Where was Kyle throughout this episode, man?
And all the times where Randy was shouting when we do something, Randy would be like, okay. And now
Sharon.
he's the Karen?
Okay, Sharon.
Like,
I love you.
Her name is Sharon. You could have easily made a Karen joke.
Yeah.
And yet you make it
Randy
fucking
instead.
Randy.
Yeah.
Like,
No sense at all.
no sense.
No sense
And Kyle was not a part.
No.
He was in the first part where he did the boats. And in the second part, he appears in the very beginning, and then we don't get any. Did Kenny appear once?
No, not at all.
Oh no, he was there with them when they were at the water park.
It's just...
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he?
A little bit. Not much, though.
I don't know.
Not much.
Like, instead, the main characters in this 2 specials were fucking Cartman, fucking Tolkien's dad. Who the fuck cares about Tolkien's dad? I don't even know his name.
He was such a minor character in South Park. He's not. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I get it. Maybe they're trying to spice things up. Maybe they're trying to introduce new characters, flesh out new character plot lines, but
they're not doing it in the right way. Is the thing? It's like, I don't know. They wanted to go on this whole thing about Tolkien and his dad, but they were still using the same sort of played out tropes to do it, and it was like they were trying to add character development to it without adding any actual character development to it. Yeah. They were progressing the characters in the story without progressing the characters themselves. And I mean, that's nothing really new for South Park. You have a lot of episodes where it's like nothing really changes in terms of character development, but at least at the end of it, there might be some moral to the story. There might be some way in which these characters have learned a lesson and or grown closer together, etc., etc. even if that's undone in the next episode or whatever, at least you had that little bit of resolution there. Whereas at the end of this, you're just kind of like, huh?
Yeah, it's not self-contained. There's no, like, by the end, if anyone watches these two specials, it's like, wow. In the words of the old South Park, you know, I learned something today.
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Nothing.
Yeah.
No. It's just, it was valueless, is all I can really say. Like, there is no value to these two episodes. The first part, I gave a 1. The second part, a 3.
Yeah, I was going to say a 3 at the most, because...
Like, it's just, this is, I'll be honest, I mean, some people disliked the newer South Parks. I hadn't for the most part, but this is the worst South Park has been in...
Ever.
I'd
say.
Really
the worst part for me is that on a lot of, like, I looked at YouTube videos and stuff and just general consensus online, and there's loads of people talking about how much they love the new South Park episodes, these two recent ones. And I just think, what?
Ask yourself, though, how old are those people?
I mean,
maybe we're just too old for South Park.
Or maybe we're too young again. They could be waiting for 50 years.
Maybe we're the boomers now. Maybe we have become Kyle. And
here's the thing: I don't think that's the case because we can still watch and enjoy the old episodes. We can still recognise their quality.
That's true. That is true.
Like, if we were really too old and we became the boomers, we'd watch the old ones and be like, "Man, why do I even think this was funny? Like, this is cringe." No, the old South Parks are brilliant. Seasons 1 to 14 are fucking amazing. And seasons 15 to, I want to say, 23 is when the quality started to... We're good. They were fine, you know? There were some really fucking great ones in there. Some stinkers, but some fucking great stuff. The Black Friday trilogy.
That's really good.
You know, Skank Hunt, I really fucking enjoyed. Like,
really
the Trolling Wars, Trolling Saga.
Yeah, and yet this... it's almost pointless. It's almost completely pointless because you're also just being hypocritical.
I think they will always struggle to find, I don't know, the same sort of level of engagement and sort of content that they would have been able to create as they had before. Because it's like during those times, what was it like? I'd say like the last, what you said, like from season...
Yeah, season 23 is, I think, the last great... or good season, and that was, I want to say 2018.
Yeah, because it's like we had this sort of golden period of memes, I guess, or this golden period of humor, where there was just so much stuff in the world to make fun of, right? You know, politically, socially, like social media, everything like this. There was so much stuff that you could just look at and be like, that's just funny, man.
Yeah.
And now you look at, you know, the same stuff and you're just kind of like, okay, it's just old now.
Yeah.
You know,
case in point, Karens.
Yeah, case in point, Karens. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. You need something new. Need some more fresh stuff.
Yeah, like the last really fresh thing that South Park did that was great was the addition of PC Principal. I love PC Principal. I thought that whole idea was so fucking funny. Like, you know, microaggressions. Like, like, making fun of the woke
was
kind
really
of...
good.
Yeah. It was. Like, who's the one person who's always like, I just told you one fucking time in the audience.
There's a little girl.
Oh, yeah, who ended up being an ad, didn't she?
Yeah.
Not Wendy.
Sally,
something like that. Yeah,
Susie, maybe?
Maybe Susie. I can't remember.
But man,
like, also his entrance was like beating the shit out of Cartman, and that was like, you know, it was what they say when it was like in that episode where there's the manatees and it's about Family Guy. They say, if I enjoy something, it's because it has a solid plot and anything that happens is relevant to the storyline. And what was happening in this?
Yeah, man. Like,
majority of it was just fucking...
This was the most Family Guy South Park has ever felt. It really was. Especially... I mean, part 1 was worse, but part 2, the constant fucking piss gags, where it's the same joke over and over.
That was it a lot as well, was that it felt really almost dumbed down.
Yeah.
Like, you had to... You know, again, you had to repeat the same joke over and over again, or you had to explain something, or you had to resort to, like, potty humor, which is fine, you know, for South Park. That's kind of what South Park does, but not in such a artless way, I guess.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Also, the Italian stereotype there. Come on, man. It's a little bit outdated. Let's get with the times, you know? Gonna make fun of racial minorities? I don't think so.
Not in my South Park.
That whole bit. They've already done that whole bit of making fun of PP and his park. They've already done that.
He's dead now. They can't do it again.
Yeah.
Watch them. Watch them.
Hey, they brought back Man-Bat Pig after the devil killed him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So it's like, where do you stand?
Do you reckon in any way, shape, or form that this is Paramount's fault? Do you reckon that was Paramount?
I don't think Paramount had, like, direct involvement. I think it was more the pressure from Paramount. Like, they have to do 2 of these movies for the next fucking... It was 7 years when it first began.
Jeez.
So, like, yeah, I think they did the 2 COVID specials and they were like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What do we do next? We've agreed to fucking 12 more of these? What? Like, and I think, this was them, I think, voicing their regret of, like, we shouldn't have made this deal.
It could be, yeah.
But we're stuck in it now.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's kind of like the only reason why I would explain why it's gone down in quality so much. Because it's like, actually, if I think about it, it's like those COVID specials. I really like those COVID specials, to be honest. And it's like, I think at the last one, where you had like, what is it, like, Kyle comes home from the Air Force and Cartman's across the street. Fuck you, Kyle! Fuck you! Do you know, I think that would have actually just been the perfect way to end South Park.
It actually could have.
That would have been the perfect way.
That would have been the best.
Park.
Because, to be honest, I don't think you will ever find a greater meme than COVID-19.
Yeah, like, mate,
that shit was fucked.
Did COVID actually, like, non-ironically, did COVID ruin South Park? Because it's been kind of mean, like, season 25, even without these specials, it wasn't great.
No.
You know, like, it had like maybe 2 out of the 6 episodes were great. That one of them being the real estate one, and the other one being the season finale.
Yeah.
All the other ones were just middling at best, really.
I mean, I didn't see any of those because I did kind of actually give up on it after the COVID episodes. So like I don't think it could get any better than this. I think it reached its peak.
If that was the finale, it would have still held a place in my heart, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I'm not looking forward to the next South. I'll watch it, but I'm not actively rooting like, South Park, bring back South Park. Like, no, let it.
I think
let it die.
That's kind of something to be said. Not just for something like South Park, though. I think that's something to be said for a lot of franchises, like right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, actually going off of that, there's one season of something that I've watched recently that I thought was really terrible, but it hasn't put me off watching the next season because I have been told that it's very good.
And this is a very trending topic.
Stranger Things, I haven't seen the latest season 4, but I've pretty much finished watching season 3. Still got 1 episode left to go, and man, throughout every single episode, I've just been sat there just going, what? Cringe. What? Cringe. Yeah. Throughout the whole way through, from beginning up until now, where like, you know, like the cringe, on the nose, cliche, ooh, evil Russians, they've got scientists and secret military base. The kids somehow bust into the secret Russian military base. It's just fucking, it's
very
so
1980s,
cringe.
isn't it?
So cringe, yeah. And like, all of the characters, I mean, especially at the beginning, all the child actors, you could tell they hadn't acted for quite a long time because their acting was pretty bad. But that was only in like the first, maybe, you know, episode 1 and 2. After that, it kind of wasn't so noticeable anymore. But also, like, rewriting characters almost, it felt like similar to what they've done in the latest South Park episodes. Like with Randy, he's like a completely different character. And then also some of the characters in that are so drastically different from the previous seasons, which I think is kind of like jarring and weird, and doesn't make any sense why you do that, because all of your audience have watched the previous season. They've come straight from the previous season to this season now. So if you change them all up and change the characters, or like, you know, rewrite them or do anything like that, it's going to be jarring and weird.
My main issue when season 4 came out, I didn't care. I lost my care for Stranger Things, and I had to go back from the beginning. And in season 3, the biggest question I had, when you binge it all, you especially have this question: how old are these kids supposed to be right now? Because in the very start of season 1, they were all around 12. In season 3, they're not just like, they don't just look it; they're acting like 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
But it's only been, I think, around a year. They should be 13.
Yeah.
How old are these kids supposed to be?
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point, isn't it? Because they all start getting into relationships.
And D&D, we're too old for that. Like, how old are you?
I haven't seen any of this. I've seen like the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things, maybe. One recurring theme I did hear out there on the Ethernet was, where are these kids' parents? And if they're not there, where the fuck are Child Protective Services?
Yeah, I mean, Will's parent is a big part of the show, but all the others, What the fuck are you doing?
Going off something similar to that, there was a huge thing in the most recent one that really fucked me off.
That'd be season 3, episode 7 for the audience.
When the, Mr. Terminator, the evil Russian man, right, he kills Alexei, the Russian scientist, right? And what I just thought, wow, this is shit now. Like, this is actually dog shit. Because he literally, in the middle of a busy fucking theme park with people running around, it's well lit, he's walking over with a massive fucking silencer pistol in his hand and just fucking points it up, shoots him, puts it down, carries on walking with it in his hand. As people and children running around. As
an American and therefore an expert on all things related to firearms, I can tell you a silencer doesn't work like that.
No, but I mean,
everybody would have noticed.
I mean, he was holding it. Like, he was walking around and just holding it out in the open in his hand, just walking with it in his hand. Everyone would have seen, hey, that big man has a gun in his hand.
The only person who noticed was the one person looking directly at him. You are surrounded by people. Are you telling me not a single one was looking in that direction? Like, they all had their backs turned?
It's ridiculous. And then Hopper jumps into this, big, theme park.
The haunted house. Yeah.
And then, 5 other Russians with guns in their hands just fucking pile in. And I'm just thinking, what?
Can you imagine being that admissions guy working that ride? Just fucking gang of Russians coming in with police.
How's no one called the police? And then also, earlier on in that episode, the Russian man, went up to a guy in the gas station, in the petrol station.
Yeah.
Slammed his head on the desk and was like, don't look at because the police were literally standing right outside the gas station. Because our main
characters, this is something that, they steal a car, and that's why the police are there, they're asking about the car. But when they steal in the car, Hopper does this really dumb thing where he's like, look, we are police, which he is. We need to commandeer this vehicle, which they do. And then he's like to the guy, because the guy's a bit of a dickhead, he's like, you can pick it up at the station. The guy goes, what station? And they just drive off. Tell him the fucking station.
Yeah.
Don't tell him the station. Just be like, look, we need the car. Give us 2 hours. Report it stolen. You'll find it in the street. We need this fucking car. You're being a dickhead to the guy. No wonder he called the police.
We won't crash the car either. We'll treat him nicely.
Yeah, honestly, if he wasn't just such a dickhead, they probably wouldn't have called the police. The Russian would never have known.
Yeah. But then continuing from that, these police are standing in the gas station and the Russian man comes into the section, slams his head on the desk. We're thinking there's literally police right outside. How have they not seen this guy come in and slam his head on the desk? And also the guy could have just shouted and the police would have come over. And then also after he leaves, the guy doesn't do anything. He doesn't report it to the police at all.
Yeah, it's
so many plot holes. So many fucking plot holes.
The moral of the story is Russian bad. American good.
Which, by the way, I'm not the first person to say this, but especially with season 3, this is an issue. How are evil Russians Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Where's the strange? It should just be called Things. There's nothing strange about the Russians. It's so cliche.
Stereotypical things.
Yeah, exactly. Season 1, the main villain is the Demogorgon. Season 2, the Mind Flayer. Season 3, the Mind Flayer, and some Russians. Ooh, who the fuck cares?
When is this set?
It's set in the 80s.
It's set in the 80s.
Yeah, and also that's important because when the kids were escaping the mall, all of the Russians were stood at the gates interrogating people as they were coming out to check if they'd seen kids. I'm sorry.
They came out of Back to the Future, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Out of the movie. But I'm sorry, but in that era where everyone was anti-Russian, anti-communist,
Cold War.
I can guarantee you at least one old person would have called the police and been like, hey, there's loads of Russian military-looking men in our mall. It didn't make any sense.
Reagan's America? Yeah. Better believe it.
People would 100% have called the police.
100%.
It was stupid.
I mean, you look at every, fucking 80s movie ever, even in Back to the Future, I swear the bad guys that are trying to get the plutonium.
They might actually be Russians.
They were Russians or Chechens or Eastern, they were Eastern Europeans. Or Ukrainians or whatever.
Yeah, but they were one of them.
Yeah.
It was the 80s.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah. Why? It was just fucking retarded. So many of the episodes, there were so many things that didn't make any sense. That was just fucking stupid. Yeah.
Should have been the CIA, man. They were the real bad guys during the 80s.
Yeah.
And ever.
And you know the worst thing with season 3 too? It's just season 3, not season 3 and 2. In season 1, you have this really unique mystery where everyone's trying to, you're solving it essentially at the same time as the characters. At the end of episode 4, spoiler alert, but it doesn't feel like it. At the end of episode 4, because they've been looking for this kid Will, they pull a body out of the lake and it's Will's. And you're like, holy shit, is Will dead? He shouldn't be. maybe he is, and in the next episode they figure out it's stuffed. In the second season...
Sorry.
As in it's a fake body. It's a fake replica body.
Okay. Yeah. To throw him off the set.
Okay.
And no, it sounds dumb, but it actually really works.
Okay.
Yeah,
in season 2, big mystery. Is Will still connected to the Upside Down? Is Will being possessed? What's going on with Will? You know? But then, at the very beginning of season 3, the first shot of season 3 are the Russians opening a gate. What is the mystery for the audience now?
Yeah.
In fact, also in season 3, we see Billy get possessed by the Mind Flayer. Again, what is the mystery for the audience? We're just watching the characters figure out something that we now already know because you outright told us.
Yeah.
So there's two different ways to do that.
Yeah, that's right. They did it every time. Even, Billy got possessed and then they're all figuring it out and you already know. Yeah.
Like, there's no mystery for us to follow anymore. It's just the characters following a mystery.
Yeah.
And okay, so basically, in storytelling, I have a degree in filmmaking, by the way.
So do I.
Bachelor's now. So in storytelling, it's like there is a good way to do that. There's the right way, and then there's the wrong way. So the right way is where you have it. It's called a dramatic irony, where you, as the audience, are aware of these facts. You're aware of what the answer to the mystery is.
Yeah.
But the main characters are so oblivious to it that you're like, he's behind you, you know, and but they're just so unaware of it. Whereas it's like, if you just engage the audience with that right off the bat, and you're just sort of like, yeah, but I already know this, and there's no sense of urgency to it, then it just ruins the entire thing. And again, I haven't seen any of this, so I really can't actually comment on it, but just in terms of storytelling, it seems like that there would have been better ways to do that.
Yeah. No, I really do think that, and luckily that is something that season 4 manages to avoid. There is a good mystery in season 4, and you do figure it out at the same time as the characters, and by the end you're like, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Either you was or you wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it because it was slightly spoiled for me because I took so long watching season 4.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't spoiled for you, you could be like, damn, okay.
Luckily, I haven't had any of it spoiled for me. So
that is
okay, yeah.
I don't know if this does actually branch out into spoilers. Is season 4 the catalyst for a spin-off series?
No.
Is there a catalyst for a spin-off series?
The catalyst for a spin-off series actually happens in season 2, and it's the worst episode.
Oh, yeah.
So in season 2, episode 7, there's an entire episode where it's 11, she leaves the main town, which is called Hawkins. She goes and finds one of the other numbers. She's 11. I think it's number 7 she finds.
Basically her sister.
Yeah, and she's got superpowers too, and she's a part of a little girl gang, and they do a makeover and all that stuff. Yeah. That, I mean, it's never been confirmed, but I know as a filmmaker, as a scriptwriter, that was a backdoor pilot.
Yeah.
They were hoping these characters would be like, we love these characters, we want to see more of them. And you know how I know that? Because we've never seen them again.
Yeah.
2 seasons later, never seen them again. That episode is so bad that I skip it every time. I've seen it once, and that is enough.
I do wonder how this works, right? How it works when it comes to like sequels and spin-off series and things like that. And this is an outdated example, but it's like, for instance, Birds of Prey, right?
Yeah.
Which, again, haven't seen it, heard it was shit.
Honestly, it was fine. It's better than Suicide Squad, definitely.
This is the thing, right? You go to a film, you don't want to come out saying, oh, that was fine.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
I know
it was better than Suicide Squad. That doesn't mean that it was good.
I know, yeah.
Honestly, it's not hard to be better than Suicide Squad.
No, it isn't. But so, all I'm saying is it wasn't terrible.
But
it wasn't.
But this is the thing, is like, how is it that somehow the worst of sometimes the worst of the worst can still be the gateway to more?
Yeah.
Like, did we not learn with, fucking Justice League and Batman versus Superman that we didn't want the Ben Affleck, expanded universe DCEU?
Yeah. Well, we
didn't want that one.
He is an Bird to Prey.
Yeah, I know. But, similar with Suicide Squad, we didn't really want more Jared Leto.
Yeah.
But in fucking Justice League, the extended cut, we got more Jared Leto somehow.
Yeah, we did.
And it's like, it does boggle my mind how an audience can be so against a concept, but at the same time it still progresses forward, I guess. So it's just, and, it's going to be Morbin time soon.
Yes.
One of my favourite spin-offs of anything ever is an X-Files spin-off called The Lone Gunman. Now, the reason I love this spin-off, one, I love the little team that's in it. Basically, they appear throughout the X-Files. They're a group of conspiracy theorists, and Mulder will just occasionally ask them for help. They appear like maybe 2 or 3 times each season. But I love it so much because while the X-Files is about the kooky and the spooky and the ghosts and aliens, this isn't. This is just straight up conspiracy stuff. And I actually love that for it.
Yeah.
Like, leave that to the X-Files. We don't need the lone gunmen solving a monster mystery or ghosts. No. Let them do their thing. They're trying to find an old Nazi who came back. They're trying to solve fucking people experimenting on chimps. They're just doing their own thing. And I loved that for it. Yeah. And it was cancelled after 13 episodes, and that bugs me to this day.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, that does seem to be the sort of trend, is anything that is actually original gets cancelled pretty soon after it comes out.
And a fun fact, it was co-created by Vince Gilligan, who went on to make Breaking Bad.
Well, there you go.
So it was good.
I think, unfortunately, we live in a world where the majority of people don't like original.
They just want more of the same. And as much as I love it, the MCU is a great example.
What is that amazing quote? Imagine me, I'm a caveman. Old thing good.
It's not hard to imagine.
New thing bad. And that's it. That's what people are like. Old thing good, new thing bad. Fuck you.
You just see it took you that long to catch on to it.
I got onto this.
The MCU is a great example of that. I recently saw Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm the only one who's seen it, so I won't give major spoilers. But man...
I also don't care.
Yeah, but for the audience, I would do it. But man, that's the thing. When Ragnarok came out, that felt very fresh. Yeah. Not even fresh maybe not fresh in terms of the MCU.
Sorry, which one was Ragnarok?
Ragnarok was
Hulk planet.
Hulk, Hela,
planet.
Yep. Grandmaster. Okay, cool. That felt very fresh. Maybe not for the MCU as a whole, but for Thor. Because Thor 1 and 2 are shit.
I mean, so I feel like Thor 1, and I feel like
Thor 1's fine.
Because I feel like it was part of the first wave of, well, I guess it was.
Yeah,
phase 1 of the MCU, which, dude, not gonna let that first phase 1 of the MCU was great.
It was, it did exactly what it needed to do.
Exactly. And then they just took it too far. You take it too far, man. Too much.
Yeah, for the Dark World is pish. It really is. It's the 4th worst MCU movie.
As it should have been called. Thor 4. More Thor.
It should have been. Because Thor 3 comes along, Thor Ragnarok, and it's got Taika Waititi, who I love. I love as a filmmaker. It brings some freshness, some organicness, some crispiness to Thor. And then we get, Infinity War Endgame. And then we get Love and Thunder. And all that originality in Ragnarok is repeated. It's not original anymore. We saw it in Ragnarok. You haven't taken it a step further. You're doing the exact same.
Yeah, there's a recurring theme here, isn't there?
There is. And it's like, man, we saw this done better in Ragnarok. Ragnarok is a better movie than Love and Thunder. One, it's more naturally funny, which it is. Man, Love and Thunder tries its hardest to be funny.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Doesn't hit.
There's a recurring gag where Stormbreaker is jealous about Mjolnir. And it happens like 6 times in the film where Thor will go up to one of them and be like, hey, buddy, I hope there's no hard feelings. With Mjolnir, it's like, oh, I'm glad you're well. I see you've found a new friend. That's cool. We get it.
Like this love triangle kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's taken out Taika Waititi's own life.
I did not find that funny. And then there's Christian Bale, who is great in it, but hideously underused.
Yeah, I did hear that. I heard he was kind of like the best part of it.
He was, and man, because apparently, according to him, there was loads of stuff with him in that was cut. It shouldn't be. For example, this is a mild spoiler. His name is Gore the God Butcher. That's his name. Guess how many gods he butchers on screen in this film?
None.
One. When he is introduced. Right at the start of the movie. And then he does not butcher another god on screen. Show me Gore the God Butcher butchering gods. What are you doing?
It's not too much to ask for.
It's not too much to ask for. That's like if Thanos killed one person at the beginning of Infinity War and it was like, now I will be peaceful, Thanos. Like, no! Show me it, let it escalate.
Yeah. Well, there's no real tension behind it, is there? It's like, we've seen him murder one guy and there's...
Like, oh no, he's gonna kill Thor? No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not gonna kill Thor.
Yeah, and how many people have tried to do that over the past however many MCU movies.
Exactly. Like, it's just, yeah, I don't think it's bad. When I first watched it, I gave it a 6. I would give it a 5 now.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's nowhere near Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You know? It is. Like, it's just, it repeats stuff. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very similar to what we just watched.
It is.
It's episode of South Park.
Yeah.
But, luckily enough, I did watch Miss Marvel, the new Disney Plus series. In the first 2 episodes, it really didn't catch my interest. I thought it was too kiddie. Because it is. It's rated PG, essentially. Right. Like, it's meant for a younger audience. And
this is Miss Marvel, who is...
stretchy.
Like in Spider-Man, Old Woman, Miss Marvel, right? Or is that... Madam Web? No,
You're thinking of Madam Web, yeah.
My bad.
No, Miss Marvel is Kamala Khan. In the comics, she has stretchy powers. In this, she has projection powers, essentially. But honestly, I'm glad I stuck with it, because it ended on Wednesday, and by the end, I was really enjoying what I was watching. Like, the first 2 episodes, I'm gonna use the word, are a bit cringe. They have some definite cringe in there. But by the end, yeah, it was fine. It really was.
For the record, Bradley finds using the word cringe to be a bit cringe.
I do. I mean, the most original thing the MCU have done in years is Moon Knight. Moon Knight was great, in my opinion. It really was.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think actually the most original thing they've done was Morbius.
Well, that's not MCU, but it should have been. It should have been MCU.
It should have been part of the MCU.
I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of is, though, isn't it?
It's adjacent to the MCU.
They want it to be part of the MCU. It wanted so hard to be part of the MCU.
It's as much a part of the MCU as Venom is.
Yeah.
Venom.
Yeah.
I honestly, until you boys convinced me, I'd made a vow. I was never going to watch Morbius. I wasn't going to do it.
I think that's the only way that you can watch it.
It
is. You have to watch it
for the meme.
Here's how far I'd go. If you watch it alone, I promise you will have a terrible time. You need to watch it with your friends, as drunk, high, or ambivalent as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
And then, and only then, will you begin to have fun.
Yeah.
Because, man, if I'd watched that alone, I would not have got through the first 20 minutes.
Imagine watching that in the cinema.
Oh, man,
People
I would have walked out.
Money.
Yeah.
I would have walked out.
Asked for my money back.
Yeah.
Been a real Karen. Can I speak to your manager, please?
I've never asked my money back, but man, if I had paid for that,
Yeah,
I would have asked my money back. Like, man, what a terrible, terrible film. But we did Morb.
It was amazing. It was beautiful.
It's always nice to Morb.
It was Morbtastic.
Morbtacular.
God has Morbsaken us with that movie.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it just that leaves you wondering. Though, it's like where do we go from here? Do you know what I mean?
Where do we go from here?
Well, yeah, no, it's because it's like you see the state of, you're one of the biggest cinematic sort of epic series, I guess, that you could get in the MCU. You see how that's going right now. You see how one of the longest running Comedy Central shows is going right now.
Yeah.
See how that's all going. See how, we watched the last 15 minutes of Men earlier. We
did.
Right?
I showed you
and compare, you put that up against...
You can't say that was an original.
Well, sure.
It was original, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
It's like this.
I have not seen that before. I have not seen that one.
This is what I said. This is what I said to you before. I believe that we're going through because also, like, films have to peak at some point. Like, we're going to reach a level. It just they don't just infinitely get better and better, but they have been. I feel like right now CGI is the best it can be. Yeah. Movies are getting the biggest budgets that they can, and now it's peaked. And now it has to trough again. Otherwise, people are going to go into the cinema expecting the best, like the greatest.
It has to strip back down to it, because, like, for example, the unironic best movie that I've seen this year, and Hector, I think you'll agree here, is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I still haven't seen that yet, and I still need to.
It's fantastic. It truly is.
I've heard.
And that does so much, and this isn't meant as a, insult to the film in any way. It does so much with so little. These are completely original characters, completely original screenplay, nowhere near as high of a budget as a fucking Endgame.
How much budget did it have?
I can only imagine it was less than 50 million. I have to imagine. Maybe 50 million max.
Mm.
But man, that film knows exactly what it wants to do, and it fucking does it.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's not a corporate film. That's not a product. That is a fucking film.
See, this is, but I feel like this is what's been happening recently, is that the corporate, well, it is. It's a matter of selling out, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's a really, that's an outdated thing to say. It's very hippie-ish, sort of, oh, you're such a fucking sellout, man. But I think there's some merit to that, where it's like, at what point do you sell your creativity for a corporate message?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and for instance, one of this year's films, I think it was still a 2022 film, was The Northman.
Yeah, 2022. Yeah.
So, really good film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Northman's great.
At the same time, it seemed like it didn't know if it wanted to be a blockbuster action film with the high definition, whatever, or a Robert Eggers film with the stylistic, abstract.
And for the audience, put this in perspective if you've seen The Northman. This is the guy, because Northman is great, but this is the guy who did The Witch and The Lighthouse.
Yeah. Which is like,
they're two mindfuck of a movies.
Yeah.
This was his most movie. You know, his most mainstream.
Kind of blockbuster.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. So, it's like, and that seems to have been happening a lot, but, it's you were saying, like, there's a peak to all of this. And I know we're kind of coming up on a similar sort of delta, I guess, in terms of, like, the century, where, a similar thing was happening in the 20s of the 1900s, and then it happened again in like, the 60s and 70s, where there was, like, a film renaissance, and technology reached a peak.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that technology is not so new anymore, so you have to actually start expanding your ideas again, instead of just what you can use technology to do.
Reproducing the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so much of a formulaic answer that you can give before, it just becomes the same thing over and over again. Thus, it is a formula.
Because also, that's like, there's a video that Vsauce did on this topic, but there is a finite number of songs that can ever be made.
Yeah.
And the same could be said for film. There's like a finite number of films and storylines that people can make.
No, in terms of stories, I think it's been determined. There's only really like 7 that just keep getting retold and remade and remastered, Like, if you go by Blake Snyder's definition, there's 10. And I mean, I could find a name of those 10. But when you hear what he has to say, you could put any film ever made into one of those 10. Like, it's the way it works, It's all about the tropes of the genre and what it's trying to do, how it makes you feel. All of that's very simple, in a way,
Yeah, but it's like how you tell the story is never going to be simple, because everybody has their own way of telling a story.
Yeah.
So, for instance...
That's what makes a movie unique.
If the three of us were to have one of those 10 stories, I'm sure, the three of us would tell it in a completely different way, because we'd each focus on a different part of the story. So...
Well, take The Northman, for example.
Yeah.
The Northman has the same story as Hamlet and The Lion King.
It was
based on what Hamlet was based
off of, I think. But
it has the same story as that and The Lion King.
And yet somehow...
Those are three completely different products.
But somehow it still messed that story up, because there were so many times where when I was watching that movie, I was like, why is any of this happening? Because, and again, kind of spoilers, but, you have this prophecy and this magical sword that can only be unsheathed at night. Yeah. But it's supposed to be super strong and super sharp, but that's just a normal sword. But with more steps. Like, surely it's actually just better to have a super sharp sword during the day that you can, use instead of one that you can't. So, and there's, other times you get on a boat with your lover who's pregnant, and she's saying, "Oh, let's go."
Who figures out she's pregnant through what appeared to me to be a psychic vision?
Yeah. And there's so many questions. Does this woman have like magical powers? Because she does this whole thing at the end.
Yeah.
Spoilers: where with the wind, she turns the boats, and then she's like some sort of like mushroom goddess as well.
Yeah.
With the psychedelics, and I'm like, where are you going with this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. What exact? Like, I love you, Robert Eggers, and you're good at that. Like The Witch. mad. Like, so much happens in that movie, and yet so little.
Exactly.
It really is. Like, there's so much, like, with The Witch, one of my favourite video essays I've ever watched was detailing how you could actually watch The Witch and determine that there is nothing supernatural happening. It's all in their fucking heads.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like, I love the idea of that. Yeah. Like, that's why I love The Shining, too. The idea that, you know, maybe this is all happening, or maybe Jack's just going fucking insane.
Yeah, it's the same with The Lighthouse as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's no actual evidence that any of this is supernatural. There's no evidence that there was ever actually any sort of mermaid, siren doing voodoo on them or something like that, making them go crazy. In fact, that might just be what happens when two people are left on their own for months and months at a time. Yeah.
And one of them is Willem DaFoe.
One of them is Willem DaFoe. So, again, Willem DaFoe, massively underused in The Northman as well.
Yeah, I think
he didn't want to be used as much, but still, could have done more. Should have done more. Would have done more. Oh well.
It's old news by now, but seriously,
Willem
DaFoe was fucking amazing in No Way Home.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, really good. Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, okay. So I didn't see that film until this year though.
Oh,
I only first saw it. I think it was on my own. I had COVID actually. I had COVID and I was just watching a bunch of films that I hadn't previously watched. But it was my first time watching that. And I liked that as well, man. It was a good film. It was a nice bit of fan service.
Done right.
Yeah. For sure. It was, as a standalone film as well, kind of heartwarming. I think it relied a little bit heavily on the fan service as well.
Oh no, it was almost 100% fan service. But that's the thing. This was, when I say fan service done right, I think a great example of fan service done wrong is Age of Ultron. In Age of Ultron, we get Ultron. Except, this isn't the Ultron from the comics. The Ultron from the comics is a beast. He is a tank. Age of Ultron. Look at the film. It's the 2.5 days of Ultron. What's the age? The entire title of that film is fan service. And then you actually get into the content of the film, and Ultron's fucking, he's making quips. Oh, you gotta crack some eggs to make an omelette. This was supposed to be a fucking menacing AI.
Yeah.
And instead, he's a little Iron Man Jr. quippy machine.
Who also relies really heavily on his mass army of other small AI Iron Man guys. And then you have, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in that, and then Quicksilver and he's gone.
Yeah.
No use to that character whatsoever.
I mean, even the X-Men films did Quicksilver better.
Yeah.
Fucking hell,
That's a stretch as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, the MCU have done fan service wrong. The way No Way Home does it right is by taking it and actually building upon it. Actually making it relevant, actually making it important.
To the story, not just for the sake of it.
Exactly. It could have, Multiverse of Madness, for example. What a lot of people thought it was going to be was a trip through the old MCU movies.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that didn't happen, but at the same time,
it might have been better.
Yeah, if it added to the plot. In Multiverse of Madness, we get the Illuminati, we get Professor X, Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic. And it's these aren't the versions we know. Can you make us care outside of the actors? It's a similar thing to
it's just the actors, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like what I've said with Doctor Who, because there's a big rumour that David Tennant will be the new Doctor. Which, by the way, not a rumour, it's happening. I very firmly believe it's happening. But when that happened, I was really pissed off because I was like, who do people want to see? Do they want to see the 10th Doctor, or do they want to see the actor David Tennant? Should he just come out on screen and be like, look guys, it's me, the actor David Tennant, hello.
But that's all they're seeing at that point then. Really, realistically. Exactly. That's the only reason why people would actually go back to it. Also, what happened to the other guy?
Shoot, he got one.
Yeah.
He's going to be after David.
Oh, that's not happening. I can see them pushing that back further and further.
No, that will happen. I think the theory is that David's going to have 3 specials. It'll be Christmas this year, but it hasn't been announced. It'll be Christmas this year, maybe Easter, and then the actual 60th anniversary, at which point he'll change into Shuigawa.
I mean, I personally will love it. I'll enjoy it. I'll love seeing it.
No, I'll enjoy it too, but that's the thing. He's not the 10th Doctor. He will be the 14th Doctor.
Yeah.
There is a difference.
But how is he going to be the 14th Doctor? He's already literally been the 10th.
Not only was he the 10th, but guess what? He was generated in Journey's End and kept the same face. If he does become the next Doctor, the Doctor 3 separate times would have been David Tennant.
What are the chances of that?
I know.
Right? Like, that's it's a coincidence and a half.
Exactly. It's
the
like,
worst things have happened.
Well, yeah, worst things have happened, but that's what I mean when I say, like, at that point, if that does happen, I love Doctor Who, but I'm sorry, you're jumping the shark a bit. That is fan service. Yeah. And not fan service done for the sake of the story. It's fan service for the sake of the actor David Tennant.
Yeah.
That's something that this could have done. Like, imagine...
Maybe bad ratings, they need to bring the show back. You know, there are stakeholders and stuff.
I mean, I think the majority of people as well also think that David Tennant was the best Doctor as well. Yeah. So, is there any way that they could be a little bit more subtle when they're just trying to get money out of people?
I know, like, there was a big cry before No Way Home where people were like, I want Tobey Maguire to be the Uncle Ben of this universe. No, you don't. You don't want that. You just want Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares who he's playing? You clearly just want the actor Tobey Maguire. He should just come out and be like, hi guys, it's me, the actor Tobey Maguire. Remember, I was Spider-Man once. Like, no. And that's why I'm so glad about this film. Like, no, he's not just the actor Tobey Maguire playing whoever the fuck he wants. He is Spider-Man.
An older version of who he was.
He is the same character.
It's like that moment from Into the Spider-Verse as well.
Yeah.
You have the sort of older, Spider-Man.
Like, yeah, that's something I was really glad about. The fact that the characters, they weren't just variants, as they call them in the MCU. These were the characters. These are the guys from the movies. They're the same characters. They've been brought back. Here's new stuff with them.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because imagine if by the end of it they were like, oh no, here's a good line to imagine. Imagine if Tobey Maguire's Peter was like, I don't have an MJ. Who the fuck are you then? Who are you then?
Yeah,
Because, you fucking did. Like, you're not the same character, so why should I care? I'm not going to care just because of your face, Tobey Maguire. I love you, but I love your Spider-Man more than I love you. Specifically you, the actor Tobey Maguire.
As an actor as well, is Tobey Maguire. I mean, he hasn't really been in a lot of stuff.
The last film he was in before No Way Home was him narrating The Boss Baby.
Actually?
Yeah.
Wow. I did see some videos where apparently after the first two Spider-Mans, he became a little bit of a diva and he was making outlandish sort of quests and stuff like that.
I mean, have you ever seen the film Molly's Game?
No, I don't think so.
So, a really fun, in terms of not fun, actual real story about Tobey Maguire is he was a massive dick during this poker thing.
Yeah.
So there was
I heard about that. Yeah.
I don't know her actual... It's Molly something. But she started an underground poker tournament for celebrities. And he came in and he started being... Because he was winning. He was good at poker. So he started getting more outrageous. He was like, I'm going to bring in my old card machine. This celebrity, I don't like him. He's not allowed in the game. At one point, he made a bunch of money, and Molly, again, she fucking started the games. It was her games. He was like, I'll give you $1,000 if you bark like a dog.
Or like a seal.
Like a seal. Bark like a seal. And then at the end, when she blatantly refused and she called him out on it, he stole the game from under her and started it at his house, and she was cut out.
Wow.
Didn't they make a whole film about that?
They did, called Molly's Game, where Michael Cera plays Tobey Maguire's character, who's just called Player X in the film. But he's based on Tobey Maguire.
Didn't Will Ferrell do a parody of that? Or House Always Wins? Or House?
Maybe.
And his wife, and he started an underground poker club in their little California suburb. Who knows?
Maybe.
But, yeah.
But yeah, so Tobey, he's not, I don't know enough about him to make a proper judgment, but I doubt he's the real life Spider-Man, let's just say,
It certainly seems like it.
But at the same time, we all have our issues,
This is the guy that also made Seabiscuit and Great Gatsby?
Yeah.
To both of those films, so, yeah.
But he was in Brothers with Jake Gyllenhaal, I think it's called. You seen that? He is good in that. Yeah. He actually is. But Tobey Maguire was only good in the film Brothers because he was playing a very angry man, which he could be in real life. You know? Have you seen the videos of him and the paparazzi?
I've seen those videos, yeah.
I don't think so. Probably saw some in that video that I watched about.
He gets very angry at paparazzi, and there's a very famous one, which I can't blame him for it, but they're literally blocking his car. He's got his wife in the car. He opens the door, he steps out. Get the fuck out of the way! Move! Like, I don't blame you, paparazzi are scum. Yeah. But clearly you've got some anger, you know? But everyone has, you know? Exactly. There's a really famous video of Andrew Garfield, where paparazzi was filming him, and he didn't get angry, but he started running after the paparazzi, like full on chasing him, and he was laughing as he was doing it. He was like, "Why are you running? I just want to talk." And then the paparazzi finally stops, and he just goes up, and he's Andrew Garfield, he's lovely. He's just like, "Hey man, I just want to talk. I just want to talk. Who are you? Like, what's your deal? Like, do you, like, you know, would you feel good about this kind of thing? You know, would you feel good if I was chasing you with my camera kind of thing? Like, because Andrew's lovely, you know.
It's the best way to play it off, to be fair.
No, it is. And the video where he's actually, because you got the shot of him, and he's just fully chasing the guy, smiling, like, why are you running? Like, it was actually like that meme. Like, yeah, I don't think we've had a bad actor playing Spider-Man. Even though Tobey is the weakest, he still is great as Peter Parker, classic, you know? Like, he's the classic, you know? He hasn't done it wrong as Peter Parker in any means.
That's why everyone was hyped to see him come back.
Yeah. As Peter Parker, not just the actor Tobey Maguire. Because, again, I fucking hate that.
Yeah, and it's like, those films, they don't really stand the test of time in terms of being great Spider-Man films or great films in general, I think. I mean, I think they're good.
What, the Sam Raimi ones?
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 still does.
Spider-Man 2, 100%.
Yeah. 1 has outdated CG.
Yeah, 1 and 3.
And 3 has never been the best Spider-Man movie.
Everybody agreed on that.
Yeah. But, and that is my only issue with 1, though. The CGI these days is quite outdated. The shot where he's running across the roof is very rubbery.
Or it's like when I think Green Goblin makes his first appearance and he like bombs those
and
board members and they turn to skeletons. Ah!
Yeah, like it has some silliness, but no, I will always stand Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
it's a great Spider-Man story. It's a great movie. You know, like,
it was like that sweet spot. I think that happened around like before 2010, from probably about 2004 to 2008 or 9.
Yeah, it was 2004 when it came out.
Yeah, when you had like this really nice sort of mixture of CG and real life where it was tangible, even though you as the audience member subconsciously knew what you were looking at was CGI. It was still...
the first Iron Man movie is a great example of.
Yeah,
they lost that with Iron Man as the movies went on, but the first one, I mean, we watched it for the commentary track at one time. The first Iron Man movie still looks fucking gorgeous, and the suit looks perfect. It's the perfect mix of mechanical CGI and like practical. It really does. And then I think it really started to get bad for Iron Man suits in Iron Man 3, and then it carried on into Age of Ultron, and it reached its peak with Civil War, where he's just a floating head on a suit. Yeah. And it's really obvious, like, wow, Robert Downey Jr. didn't wear a practical anything for this. He was just in a fucking green screen suit, mocap suit. Yeah. Like, it lost it after a while. It really did, unfortunately.
Even still, there's better ways to do that. Andy Serkis in Lord of the Rings was wearing a green or blue suit, whatever it was back then, for the entire film. We knew it was CGI. Still did it really well. So there's good ways to do it. But there's also...
But that is Andy Serkis.
That is also Andy Serkis.
He made me cry as a monkey, you know?
But, I mean, there's a lot to take away from all of it. But the main idea is that, we gotta up our game a little bit, you know what I mean? In terms of films, in terms of creativity. I think the time is coming quite soon where there's going to be a sort of another film renaissance as there was during the 20s and then during the 60s and 70s, where we'll go back a little bit and we'll say, right, well, how can we tell these stories differently for today's audience from members of today's society?
A great film this year was surprisingly great. I was really shocked how much I enjoyed it. It was Top Gun Maverick, because that's real. They are in those fighter jets, going that fast. They're doing that shit. And that shit is stuff
Yeah,
you
don't get
feel
that as
it when
much
you
anymore.
watch it. You really do. You can feel how real it is.
Yeah.
There's one shot, and I watched the first Top Gun for the first time before I went and saw Maverick. I thought it was fine. But there was one scene in Maverick where I was like, I don't go on the edge of my seat often, but I was like, man, this is sick. Like, this is unironically epic. Like, it really was. It's such a great scene where he takes it upon himself to prove that this impossible mission isn't impossible. You could say it's a mission impossible. But yeah, he does it, and you can feel how fucking real it is. Even in the other people's reactions as they're watching him and they're being like, oh shit, you can genuinely feel that some of them are actually like, he could die. Like, he could die doing this. And he still did it. And man, yeah, that film really did show me like how much the practical shit is missing these days, you know?
And see, that's where you can actually also separate, you know, like the actor from the film as well. You're not going there to watch Tom Cruise playing Top Gun, because we all know that Tom Cruise is kind of a garbage human being. Yeah. So you're not going there to watch Tom Cruise play whatever his name is in Top Gun.
Maverick.
Maverick. Sure.
Which, by the way, I think it's dumb that it's called Top Gun Maverick. That's like if the second Die Hard was Die Hard McClane. Like,
I've never seen Die Hard, never seen any of the Top Gun
What do you
films.
mean you've never seen Die Hard?
So, see, I didn't actually have a childhood.
Yeah, but man,
I made a joke about that at the start, but I actually didn't.
I'm showing you Die Hard around Christmas because it is a great Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's what I keep being told.
We'll do a commentary track for it.
Alright, I'm down.
Because, man, Die Hard is brilliant.
Die Hard is good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, you're not going to see Tom Cruise play Maverick. Yeah. You're going to see Maverick be Maverick in a real fighter jet with the risk of actually crashing it. Yeah. So, yeah. You win some, you lose some. We better start winning a whole lot more.
Yeah, and I do think the best way of doing it is to just start stripping films back a bit to its core essentials, you know? Which is, is what Maverick did really well. It's what Everything Everywhere All at Once did very well. It just made a very human, very touching story. That's what we need more of. We need more humanity.
People focus on the CGI and the
yeah.
You know.
That's why I think Avatar 2 is going to flop. I really did. I would be shocked if Avatar 2 makes $1 billion.
I mean, so this is the thing is, like, I never actually thought that Avatar 1 was a good film.
No, me neither.
Because in terms of, like, story and everything like that, it is also, once again, kind of garbage and not the best way of retelling one of the stories that's been told since... Yeah. You know...
It's Dances with Wolves, you know?
It's Dances with Wolves, it's Pocahontas, it's, you know, any film about colonization ever.
But the main thing the first one had going for it was the CG, and nowadays, who cares? Yeah. Who the fuck cares? Oh, your film's entirely CGI, so is The Lion King. Who the fuck cares, you know? Yeah,
and one of our college tutors worked on that, so...
He worked on the Jungle Book, actually.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. Which was also primarily CGI, so...
Yeah, I mean, the first one made $2 billion. I would be shocked if the second one made $8 billion. I really, really would. Yeah. Who the fuck cares about Avatar?
Well... So, and it's interesting to go back to it historically as well, is because, like, again, during the 20s, you had this whole revolution of techniques in terms of cinematography, in terms of just visual storytelling, because it was still a very early medium. But it came into this time where it was like the 20s, 30s, and 40s, where, you know, there was bigger stuff going on in the world, and all people wanted was a distraction, which is, I feel like, what's kind of happened here as well. But there was only so long that would be viable for, before people were like, right, well, we don't really want to be distracted anymore. We don't really need to be. So let's actually see something different that we do want to see. So it was like, you know, during the 30s and 40s, you had the war, and then you had this whole new, these principles that were put forward on filmmaking, where you could only do certain stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. It was the Hays Code. The Hays Code is what it was called. And then that was repealed in the 60s and 70s, and then boom, all of a sudden, you had this whole wave of great films. You had The Godfather, you had, like, you know, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones,
the classics,
Alien,
you know.
Back to the Future, et cetera, et cetera. And that was all wonderful, that was great. And then it sort of just eased back into where it started, where it's once again just things being pushed out one after another just to entertain people, which is great. You know, that's the point of filmmaking. You're supposed to entertain people. Yeah. But you want it to engage people as well as entertain them, where, you know, there's only so much entertainment and engagement you can get out of seeing a guy in a green suit with CGI around him flying around and blowing up bad guys before you're like, yeah, but what else can I see?
Yeah. That's something I've always, like, horror films. there is nothing worse for a horror film than looking at it and just being like, this is a CGI nightmare.
Yeah.
You know? Like, for example, Stranger Things Season 3. There's that bit where they're running through the hospital from the big CGI monster.
Yeah.
That wasn't scary, you know?
No.
There was no fear or tension.
No.
Not like in Season 1 where it's the singular Demogorgon who you can barely see for most of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fear in there, you know? It's just a
cool
big CG.
monster.
Yeah, it's just a cool looking thing.
That's a testimony to, like, what you can actually achieve with horror films and with actual artistic values and licenses. Like, in horror films, you shouldn't have to see your monster for a majority of the film. Yeah. If, you know, in some cases, if at all.
Yeah.
In case of the Blair Witch Project, you know, obviously it doesn't stand the test of time nowadays because nothing really happens. But when it was released, when it was properly marketed, and there was all this hype around it, you weren't sure if what you were watching was actually real or not.
Yeah.
There was genuine terror there because you never got to see the monster, and your mind would make up the rest of the blanks for you.
Yeah. The same thing, the closest thing we've had recently to that was the first Paranormal Activity. And only the first.
Yeah.
Like, here's a quick fun story for you. When the first one came out, it was 2007. I was 7. My aunt had a boyfriend, and they'd gone and saw it. And they came back, and he started explaining to my family and 7-year-old me the film. He made it sound so fucking scary that I had my very first panic attack.
Oh, jeez, man.
And I remember standing up and screaming at him, will you just shut up? Just shut up! Stop talking! Shut up! It took me, I think, until I was about 14, 15 until I finally watched it. Maybe 13, 14. I finally watched it, and he had overhyped it in my head so much that by the end I was like, that was it? That's what gave me crippling nightmares as a 7-year-old? That was nothing. I'd seen The Shining by then. I was like, this is nothing.
See,
but man, that's the point of it, you know? Yeah. Like, I knew too much going into it, essentially.
And again, it's like, if you can't achieve that level of tension and terror or whatever, and this is just purely about horror films now.
Yeah.
If you can't achieve that with imagination and just the building of suspense and tension, then I think you can genuinely just create it with practical effects. Yeah. It's like, for instance, I've always thought that one of the best modern thriller horror films was Sinister.
Yeah,
because I actually
great.
Think the first one anyway.
No, yeah, the first one is.
The second one's alright, but it's not.
You're overstating it. The second one kind of sucks.
Yeah, okay. So, but first one was great, and could have been just left there, and it should have been.
Yeah.
Because it was that mix of practical effects. You didn't see your monster for a majority of it. When you did see him very distorted and you didn't really know what was going on.
And those tapes.
And the tapes are what did it. And the soundtrack.
As little amazing short films. Just beautiful works of art.
Yeah, with the soundtrack as well. And I remember researching the soundtrack, and they found like this weird satanic band from Argentina to do those tracks, or they used their songs. And, that helped as well. So that, and not just as a testimony as to what you can build with the audience's imagination, soundtrack, visuals, all this stuff. Because it's like when Ethan Hawke's watching these tapes, you don't see the gore for really most of it.
Yeah.
You don't see the action of these people getting killed, but you see his reaction to it, and you can fill in the blanks yourself.
Yeah.
It's like with the lawnmower tape was always one, because
man.
You see kind of a reflection in his glasses, but you don't see the real thing.
And you just see the head in the ground, where she's buried her family. And again, you don't see the head being crushed, but just knowing exactly what's happening. Yeah. Just seeing the split second before they crush, where their faces are just filled with fear.
Well, you know how a lawnmower works, and you know what's going to happen if you roll it over somebody's head.
Yeah.
So, it's a good testimony as to what you can achieve. But the thing is that these examples are more and more spaced out, and they're becoming more and more spaced out as the time has progressed.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened? We need to rediscover, reinvent, and just sort of reapproach, reevaluate what we can do with film and where we can go from here.
See, there's we go about this up soon, but I want to quickly talk you through a film that I heard about last year, finally watched, and I got it. I got exactly what this film was doing. Have you ever heard, I think it was 70s, maybe 80s, it's called The Baby.
Not Rosemary's Baby.
Not Rosemary's Baby, just The Baby. Rosemary's Baby is great, though. No, alright, so The Baby...
Roman Polanski's a piece of shit. Bro.
He is, he's a piece of shit. Roman Polanski, if you're listening, you are a piece of fucking shit. He's
Never
not
come
listening.
back to America.
Yeah, fucking stay in France, you French pig. That was a bit
Polish.
too...
He's Polish.
He is Polish, yeah.
He's Polish.
But, The Baby.
We do beat pedophiles to death in America most of the time.
Yeah,
unless
fuck
they're
you.
politicians, apparently.
You fucking raped a 13-year-old, you fucking pig.
England's no better. But we will talk about that at a different time. But listen to us next week on Nethergreen, a political podcast of Hector and...
Available on Daily Wire, is it called?
Daily Wire.
But, The Baby. Alright, so... This is it's a horror.
Okay.
With no monster.
Okay.
But it's about this social worker. There will be spoilers.
That's fine.
It's about this social worker who gets called to visit the family. She arrives and there's this family, mum, dad, I think
when was this from?
I think 80s, maybe 70s.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a mum and dad, I think there's a sibling, and then there's the titular baby. Now, he's only ever called The Baby. My baby. But this is a 20 to 30-year-old man who is a baby. He can't talk, he can't walk, he can only goo goo gaga and wears nappies and all that shit.
Okay.
Now, it starts off as weird, but then it starts slowly getting twisted as you come to the same realisation that the social worker is of the question... Is this a man who is simply, handicapped, for lack of a better word? Or is there something worse going on here? Is this a man who is being forced, who has been abused his entire life to remain a baby?
Yeah. Which is obviously more horrific than somebody who's just handicapped.
Yeah. And is what was happening.
Yeah.
But it's the ending that gets me. The ending of this movie is fucked up. I love it. So, the social worker who you've been following for the entire movie, she manages to get baby out of there. I won't spoil what happens to the family, because you should watch this movie.
Okay.
It's really fucking good. But she gets baby out of there, and you're like, yes, she saved the baby. The titular baby. She saved him. But then, we get the reveal. She goes home with baby, and she has a husband who years earlier was in a very severe car accident and is handicapped.
Yeah.
And she decides to keep baby as baby so that her husband can essentially have a sibling.
Yeah.
So she saves this man from horrific abuse from his entire life.
Only to put him back into pretty much
for her own
abuse.
for her own selfish benefit. That when I finished that movie, I was like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. That is how you do a psychological horror.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good twist as well. That's a good twist
really
at the
is.
end. Yeah,
it's almost similar to that Black Mirror episode.
It's the Shyamalan twist.
It is, but it's almost similar to that Black Mirror episode about the paedophile who you don't know to the end that he's a paedophile.
Oh yeah, that was that was a real twist.
Like the fact that this woman who we've been following the entire time, who seemed like the hero, is actually in some ways more selfish and vile than the parents were.
Yeah.
Like, man, it floored me. I was like, man, that is fucking good. Like, that was a fucking good ending, man. And that is, like, there is zero CGI in that film.
Yeah, of course.
That is pure horror from how a person can act and think.
That's just because you mentioned it, I think that's one of the best episodes of Black Mirror as well.
It is. No, it really is.
What was it? Puppets Dance?
Shut Up and Dance.
Shut Up and Dance. Yeah.
With the troll face and the text messages. Like, it's brilliant. It's a fantastic episode.
And at the end of it, actually, you're kind of like, fuck yeah, go trolls!
Yeah. In the same way, it floors you and you're like, holy shit, that's who we've been watching.
Yeah.
That's our
That's
hero.
who you've actually been kind of like sympathizing with as well. You know? But, you only really know people at face value as well. So, I mean, you start questioning everything.
And I've got to give a shout out to the man who plays the baby.
Yeah.
He goes all in.
Man, I'm gonna really quickly look this film up as well.
No, we'll do it after the podcast and we'll watch a clip. But one thing that's always bothered me about it, though, the man who plays the baby is one of the producer's sons.
Okay.
Did he want to do this? Like, did he go to his dad and be like, look, Dad, I want to do a film. I want you to make a film where I can be in it and I can be a baby man. Or was the producer, like, nephew of mine? Oh, we need a baby man. And you're it, pal. Like, who came to who?
This is going to be your shot, your breakout role, I promise you.
Okay, maybe it was more, it could also have been coincidence. Maybe nephew was like, hey, I'm looking for some acting roles, and it just so happened that at the time they were looking for someone.
Alternatively, it was the 70s and 80s, everybody was on cocaine, and some, they were, probably about, maybe a couple million over budget, and they're like, oh shit, man, we really need an actor to play this guy. Hey, my nephew's trying to get into acting.
I don't know, but I would love to know. I'd love to know who went to who.
Yeah.
Because, man, just thinking about that. Imagine going to your uncle and being like, look, Unc, I want to be a baby man in something. Anything.
Yeah.
Really. Anything.
Give me a baby man role. Come on.
I want to be a baby man. Or imagine going to your nephew and being like, look, hear me out. I've written a role. I think you'd be perfect for it. What are my lines, Dad? Goo Goo and Gaga.
If, and obviously none of our listeners know this, but if my father, the critically acclaimed actor, beep, came to me and said, look, I've got this part for you, and it's a real doozy, and he showed me that, I might never speak to him again. It's perfect for you. I don't know if I'd take that as like an insult, or it's like, how do you think that family relation went on after that?
Exactly. There's so many. When I found out it was the producer's nephew, I had so many questions. I had more questions than the film left me with. I was like, man, I need a behind-the-scenes documentary on the baby.
I think the same thing about another film that you and I watched recently, which was Tusk, where it's like, it's got Johnny Depp's daughter and the director, Smith.
Harley Quinn Smith, yeah.
It's got those two gals in it, and I think, dude, this is such a dad film. Like it is a film that seems like it would be made by two dads that were just kind of like, let's embarrass our daughters by being like, let's put them in this piece of shit, which is actually not that much of a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Kind of an interesting parody film if you look at it as just a parody
of the Human Centipede,
which is, it's still disturbing, but.
No, I'm a stan for Tusk. It's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's fun, and I would watch that any day of the week instead of the Human fucking Centipede. I've seen all 3 of them once, and guess what, viewers? You're not getting a commentary track from me because I'm not watching them again.
No, because that was gratuitous, and those guys need professional help.
Taking a page from the Human Centipede 2, it's like wiping your arse with sandpaper. You do it once, you're not doing it again. Absolutely. And you haven't seen Human Centipede 2. There's a whole scene where someone masturbates with sandpaper.
No, I don't intend to.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. No. If you really want to know what happens, read Wikipedia. Read it on Wikipedia. Don't watch it.
And then if that disturbs you, don't even look at the third one's Wikipedia, because that's
it's the worst.
That is the worst, yeah.
And that's to YouTube viewers, by the way, listeners. Don't watch the Human Centipede.
I do think the second one is the worst out of all of them, though, because it's
I've never been much a fan.
Well, here's the thing. By the third one, it almost delved into self-parody with how outrageous it's got.
Yeah,
but the third one remained fairly grounded and disturbing still.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they achieved what they wanted to, but there's better ways to disturb people.
There is.
There's so much better ways to... But that's not what this is about. Ingenuitive filmmaking.
Yes.
Because if I dwell on that for too long, I will be sick.
No, it's a disgusting franchise.
So those types of movies are ones that I specifically choose not to watch. Yeah. And you can tell when it's that kind of movie because you can see how it's marketed and what people say about it. You can tell when a movie tries to gain traction by being as horrific as possible. Like something like Saw, for example.
By being banned in multiple countries as well. Saw is like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Compared to fucking the Human Centipede.
No,
which,
it really
as I was banned in several countries. Not just the first one, but the sequels all banned in very many countries, including actually the UK. I believe one of them was banned.
I think the third.
Yeah. Until, of course, the government realized we can watch anything
All of the time.
All of the time, anywhere we want. Hashtag, this was not sponsored by NordVPN, but, you know.
It was, actually.
It was.
Use code...
Bradley, 10.
No, just use code.
Use code.
Yes.
Anyway.
True.
But no, there are some films that are just like that. And sometimes it works. Ish. For example, I have to assume you've seen Martyrs.
Oh, dude. Oh, I've heard of this. I think I watched it once in passing. I don't think I was very focused on it, though. Yeah. It's, two girls at... Is it like a nunnery or an orphanage?
Yeah, it's a cult thing.
It's a cult. Know? Yep. And they get, limbs removed and stuff like tortured, this. Horrifically tortured. Yep. That film kind of blended with the, Hostel films for me for some... Yeah. Because it's kind of...
Which, by the way, I do also... I have the same opinion of Hostel as I do Human Centipede. I'll never watch them again.
I think the only one that I can stand...
They're better.
I will say Stan, because it's a bit of a pun here.
Yeah.
The second one, Stan, because my good friend and semi-co-worker Stanislav Yanevsky is in that film.
So, really? Nice.
Yeah, Victor Crumb, Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah. Oh. But Martyrs, while I would actually, I really would. I'd put it on the same level with the Human Centipede in terms of, disgusting visuals.
Gratuitous violence.
Yeah. It still has an actually decent story. And I would have to prepare myself for it, but I would watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Human Centipede again. I'm not doing it. Yeah. There's nothing... I've seen it once and that's all you need.
I had an ex, who you both personally know. Her name was Beep. But, yeah, we rewatched the Human Centipede films together.
No.
Which, seeing where she is now, I understand that.
You'd have to pay me.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it. I've seen it the once. What more am I going to get? I'm not going to watch it and be like, wow, now I've seen it a second time. I actually found this part of the film really interesting. It really delves into the psychology of... I'm not.
You basically have to undo years of mental health progress that I've made since that time.
It really is.
Which
I can't say about Martyrs. If I was to rewatch Martyrs, I actually do think I'd find something that I didn't notice last time.
Yeah, probably. I mean, seeing as I don't remember it. Probably.
I really would. It has a very interesting premise.
Have you ever, speaking of gore slasher films, have you ever seen I Spit on Your Grave?
Yes.
What did you think?
Are you talking the original or the remake?
Remake. I haven't seen the original.
The original is more tolerable. As you said,
it kind of falls into the same sort of category, doesn't it? Of gratuitous violence just for the sake of gore. Which at first is kind of like a shock factor, but then obviously you're like, well, this is all fake. And then and now it's just kind of gross because it's fake, but you're thinking of it at the same time. You're like,
I don't remember if this is in the original or the remake. Does the remake have a lot of nudity?
Yeah.
Okay. The original, I think, does too.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't like in films. I don't like...
The entire premise is based off of, a rape.
Well, yeah, but you can still, for example, in the film, there's a film with Jodie Foster where she plays a rape victim. And I don't know the name of the film, but the rape scene in that is fucking horrific. And there's not...
You don't see it.
Well, no, you get glimpses.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere near as centered as it is.
It goes back to that concept of you don't need to show everything, right?
Yeah.
Its implication alone can be more horrific, and it will be, for a good percentage of the audience, it will be more horrific just to have the implication than to physically see it.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's perception of these types of events, these types of circumstances is going to be different. For me, my idea of being tortured and killed or horrifically dismembered is going to be a little bit different than yours.
Yeah.
So the less we actually see of those moments, the more room we have to interpret, the more, real we can make it for ourselves rather than somebody telling us, well, this is what it looks like to get dismembered. Yeah. If I wanted to really see that, I'd go onto the dark web and look up snuff films.
Yeah. That's why the first Texas... Yeah, I know, it's not...
It's messed up.
That's why the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is the best one. Because it's the one that does the least visually. And just, it really does... the sound design, the infamous photo thing, it's
right.
And, there's... The most gory thing in that film is someone getting put on a meat hook. you wouldn't think that watching it because you feel such a sense of terror from the reactions. And then you get to the fucking sequels and it's like, oh, cut you in half with a chainsaw. Like, yeah, we get it, Reddit. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and again, I hate to keep reusing the word gratuitous, but it is because it's just overindulgent and it's not... You're never going to really capture the realism of what that looks like unless, somebody's actually seen it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that these people haven't seen it. They probably did their research. They probably have seen some pretty fucked up things. But that's not going to make it real for everybody else.
Yeah.
It's always going to be more powerful to the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
There you go. I forget the entirety of what that phrase means.
Yeah.
But...
Well, suspension, you can suspend your disbelief enough for it to still be believable in the context of the film.
There you go. Exactly. So,
in fact, there's a Saw trap that really encapsulates this. So in Saw, I want to say it's 3, there's a person in a trap whose limbs are attached to rotors. They're spinning, his limbs are breaking. It's gross. Then you get to Saw 8, Jigsaw. And the final trap of that is a person in a fucking head laser grid, and the lasers are coming down, and they laser his head into like a flower.
Yeah.
There is no belief in that.
No.
I can't suspend my disbelief enough. This was supposed to be set before Saw 3, by the way. How do you go from laser heads to grinding limbs? Like, no.
Yeah.
No, you don't do that. If you had laser heads, you're sticking with laser heads. You know?
It's kind of like, Final Destination 4 or 5. I think it was 5.
5 is great.
I think 5 was the one that you showed me that one time. Really, really good.
5 is the best one.
It was supposed to be set,
Yeah, it's supposed to be set before the first one.
Which was...
2000, yeah.
2000, so it was supposed to be in the 90s. Laser eye surgery? I mean, I guess laser eye surgery was probably a thing in the 90s, but...
Yeah.
Okay, but no, I actually really like that film, to be honest, in terms of, if you're gonna do gratuitous violence, the Final Destination 5, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
Because I think that has something to do with it as well, as the fact that these are all supposedly freak accidents. All of a sudden, you as the viewer, even though you're like, haha, you get this sort of almost very realistic CGI, actually, with kind of believable circumstances.
Like the woman on the monkey bar.
Yeah, where she's doing her, and the entire time...
I told you about this before, she falls off her neck and she folds like a fucking taco.
And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Because now every time I see somebody doing some gymnastics, I'm going to be...
Well, that's what they're great at. Like, Final Destination 2 with the log truck.
Yeah.
Who the fuck can see a log truck without thinking of that scene?
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That's it.
I cannot do it.
Same with because again, I've only seen Final Destination 5. I haven't really seen any of the others. I might have seen clips, but it's like, going across a bridge now, you're kind of like,
this bridge collapses, I'm fucked.
And then I think there was a scene where the truck, spoilers again, there's a truck with some pipes on it.
Oh, the oil,
falls off, and then...
Oh, no, the pipe, and
the pipes
gores,
gores somebody. Now, also, I'm behind a construction truck in traffic, I'm like...
Yeah.
Jesus, please, let's not cross the bridge. Don't cross the bridge. Don't cross the bridge. And then we cross the bridge, and I'm...
The third one was set on a roller coaster. Guess how long it took me to go back onto a roller coaster after watching that movie? Too long.
Never been on a roller coaster, and will never go on a roller coaster.
You don't want to watch number 3? Because seriously, I mean it. It took me years to go back on a roller coaster because I kept thinking about that. I was like, man, if we're doing the loop and it stops at the top, you're fucked. You're not beating gravity.
No, I'd already say my most conventional fear is the fear of heights, which I feel like that's a pretty healthy fear to have if you're going to be afraid of something.
I think depending on the height, it's not irrational at all. It's very rational.
No, not at all. Not at all. So that's why. I mean, also, I've just never really seen the point in roller coasters, to be honest. Just for me, I just never...
Just for adrenaline junkies.
I guess I'll do it once, maybe, to say I've been on a roller coaster, but I never liked carnivals.
Honestly, I've only been bungee jumping once, but that gave me way more adrenaline than a roller coaster ever has.
Like from a bridge or from from
a crane?
One of those crane things?
Yeah, it was 60 foot.
Yeah, I've done one of those. That was pretty fun. I was like 10, maybe 11 at the time. It was nice.
I think it was for my 16th birthday.
Okay.
I was in college at the time.
And it's like...
I wasn't actually. It was just before college.
Yeah. I might do maybe skydiving.
I would love to go skydiving.
Parachute.
You and me, man, and you, Hector. Let's go skydiving.
All right, boys. Well, before we go skydiving. we'll do a little podcast of a before and after. I'll, as the cameraman of the group, I'll record a little video camcorder sort of, thing of it. Actually, I think that would be good, to be fair.
No, we actually should do that, because, I would love to do skydiving.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so, you get that comparison of like, horror films for the last, 50 plus years, to be honest. I mean, you think about where horror films started. I think the first horror film ever made, actually, I did a research paper on this in uni, was, 1901, I want to say, even maybe before 1890s, 1899.
Is it?
It's a Japanese film. It's a Japanese silent zombie film. It was the first zombie film ever made, which was Japanese.
I know one of the earliest ones. I don't know its name, but I know it involves someone putting a razor blade to someone's eye and slicing it. Not a real eye.
Ooh.
That's like a very early one, I know. I don't even think it was the first horror film, but it was the first body horror film.
Okay, comparatively, I think that was really, really early on, but still I'd say like from the first one, maybe another 30 years after that. It was when it was made, maybe in the 30s or 40s.
I know the first So Bad It's Good movie from college is 1930s Reefer Madness.
Yes. Right, yeah, dude, fucking Reefer Madness, man. I mean, this is one of the, it's like I said before, my dad's like 60, right? So we've had some opposing views on, all these sort of things. And one of the examples I brought up to him back in the day was Reefer Madness. I was like, dude, really? Do you think weed's gonna make people go out murdering and raping each other and listen to jazz music?
Oh no.
Well, I mean, it's a product of the times, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, 1930s. I mean,
well, that was, I think.
To be fair, it was 1939.
I don't know if you went into it or if somebody else that I listened to went into it, but the entire actual point of like prohibition of weed, when it actually started, was because of jazz music, and was because black jazz musicians who came in from the Caribbean
really
brought weed with them.
Yeah, no, I don't think that was made. That's interesting.
So this is one of the things is when weed came into America during the immigration period of the 1860s to the to this day still, but to the early 1900s, the stigma around there was the race wars until also now
still happening.
so it's like but one of the early ways for the government to what's the word okay, so I guess they were stigmatizing they were sorry, again, it's they were discriminating. They were the opposite of encouraging. Discouraging, I guess?
Yeah.
Discouraging the relations between, like, white people and minorities, right?
Yeah.
So one of the major minorities at the time, again, Caribbean black people coming over from the Caribbean, Jamaica, etc. They would come over, playing their jazz music and smoking weed. And this was apparently very attractive for the young white females at the time, so they wanted to discourage, like, race mingling, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was one of the ways to do it, was by, outlawing weed and saying it turns you into a murderous, rapist, psychopath. So, yeah, really small little bit of American history there, which has continued in some places to this day.
No,
almost,
I mean, not in some ways, not in America. If anything, it's continued outside of it more than it has in.
Yeah.
Like, America's one of the best places to get weed nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, in most of the more sort of progressive states. I mean, I say that Alaska is a very Republican state, but they've legalized it as well. So they're a pretty good example of that. So I mean, it's progress. There's always progress with all of this stuff.
And really, that's what Nethergreen is about. It's about
we're about progress. Nethergreen.
Integrity.
Welcome home. Yeah. So I mean, that's actually a really good way to see it. To be fair, is like, I don't know. It doesn't matter where you stand on what side of what, whether you like these films or these politics, you don't like this, that.
Whether you like South Park or you don't.
Whether you like this podcaster you don't. What you should be concerned with is progress.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Because
we should all be striving
to
further ourselves and everyone else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think this episode has, at the very least, furthered our episode count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have one more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have progressed.
At the end of the day.
We have succeeded.
And you progressed by adding a new regular member, hopefully, fingers crossed.
No, he will be.
In terms of me, Mr. Johnson.
Quentin.
No. Shut up.
You're Quentin.
John Johnson.
John Johnson, as of next episode.
You're Quentin Bleep.
Oh, dear. But, so, yeah, that's like old South Park used to say, I learned something today.
Yeah.
And that was that progress
is good.
Progress is good. Progress is definitely good. So
only if it's good.
Only if it's good progress.
You can progress bad.
You can progress
Look
bad.
at Russia.
Look at
South Park.
Look at South Park.
Yeah.
Again, most of the world, if you think about it.
Yeah. Look at Taika Waititi's 4 films.
And all of his relationships. But,
Hey, him and Rita are going strong. I know he'll hate me bringing that up, but it's true.
Rita, and whatever that other gal's name is.
Tessa.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well done to you. Progress.
Progress all round.
Yeah. So, I think that's something to hold in mind for the future in terms of creativity and wherever else the world may be, we'll progress.
Yeah. We really hope. We really do hope from the bottom of our hearts and the tip of our dicks that you have enjoyed this, the 19th episode ever of Nethergreen Podcast.
To those 9 listeners in Denmark, maybe.
Yes.
Love you guys.
I feel like it was Germany.
Germany?
What, maybe.
Switzerland?
It could have been Switzerland.
Subculture.
If there is 9 of you, thank all 9 of you.
Yeah.
Don't thank you, though. I'm not even going to censor his name. Don't thank you, Matt, if you're listening.
Yeah, Matt? Yeah. Not that it would ever happen, and this is just a really quick little bit. You don't even have to include it. But there was this guy once upon a time. And I feel like he really would have enjoyed this, God rest his soul.
Well, I did have a podcast with him.
Wherever he may be.
I used to have a podcast with him that I can't name.
Out there in the world.
I will censor his name, but I will include it.
Yeah, but this is for you, buddy.
Yeah. And you know what? I take it back. Thank you, Matt. I actually miss you, pal. I miss you more than anyone else on the server. And that includes Hector.
Go Fleas!
Go Fleas.
Go Fleas.
I'll keep that. Yeah.
Yeah, take that.
But yeah, thank you all for listening. I have been 5B.
I've been Hector.
I've been Jimmy Jane Johnson.
This is Quentin John James Jimmy Jane.
I hate you so much.
Good night and good day.
Signing off.
Thank you.